mic, but I'm not saying anything I'm not supposed to, right? I'm behaving myself. All right, so we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday to me on this November 19th, right? This is interesting. I don't know what I'm looking at right now. What is this? Oh, okay, I understand. Okay. All right. Um, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to We Still on Learn. Right? Now, of course, what I did before was the Facebook edition. This is now the YouTube edition. Right? Yeah. I feel like the Facebook Live is a little bit more difficult to do. Now, one of the things that I think, or rather that I would encourage, I mean, so here's the issue. You need to have Zoom Pro. The best thing to do is to pay for the annual plan. Because if you have the annual plan, the last thing you want is to be pestered every month for money. So just pay the yearly plan and call it a day. Yeah, pay for the yearly plan. Pay for the yearly plan, and I have advice for all of my teachers, right? Now, your 9 to 5, you use it to pay your bills. Building your own brand, you use that to support yourself and your family. Okay? You support your family and yourself with the brand that you built as a teacher for yourself, because these people are not going to coach you to build your own brand as a teacher. They're not going to do that. I will, because I'm tired of seeing my colleagues run themselves into the ground. I've even done it to myself in recent times. I decided, hey, wait a minute. Isn't this the reason why I resigned in the first place? Doing things that don't serve me at all. And it doesn't improve my situation at all. Don't get me wrong. It is all well and good to be noble and, show up and be loyal and all of those things. But compensation is also important. Nobody's working for free. Nobody's working for free. And what I aim to do is to use this here platform to help to teach you how to protect yourself from being exploited by your employers, by your principals, by your admin, by the parents. Yeah, you protect yourself by building a brand. That way, when somebody comes and, they attempt to disrespect you, you look at them and you say, you realize that I have a large clientele of people, that losing you as a customer it's not a blip on the radar. I can afford to lose you as a customer. Not because you want to be disrespectful, but because there are some people that feel very entitled and feel like, well, my child is the only child you need to focus on. I have 100 students in my Zoom room. 100 of them. Mind you don't want 100 of them. Right? But, just in case you get popular enough to the point where you're almost housing a university lecture in your room, then, you can drop the figure just to let them know, listen, this is not some run-of-the-mill teacher you're talking to. This is somebody that is in high demand. And because I'm in high demand, there's a reason for that. I give people results, and I ensure that not only do they understand, but they understand for life. Because, see, there is a difference. There are some people that they can understand to pass the exam, but give them the paper to do again. And you'll see if they truly do. I realized that I wasn't as good at mathematics as I thought I was. Why? Because there are certain techniques that just weren't made available to me. And you know what? It boils down to time. You have to realize that I feel like there are certain subjects where you have to give people time. You know, I feel like some of the time, you know, you give these people exam conditions that are not really realistic and not really representative of how mathematicians really work. They spend hours at a time figuring out how to solve a problem. And yet after doing something like that, you're giving someone maybe an hour and a half to do something that, you know, what story for another day. I have conversations with a lot of teachers, a lot of coaches, a lot of everybody. Let me just tell you, I am somewhat simultaneously working at two schools. Right? And why is that important? And why is it relevant? Well, it's relevant because you start hearing the plights and you start seeing it for yourself. So therefore, nobody can come to me and tell me what I've seen. I know what I've seen. I've seen teachers go to work for weeks and barely have enough fare to get to work. And if they do have the fare, they don't have money to buy lunch in the days. And then they're waiting on their pay, and then the week that they're supposed to get paid, no payment is applied to their account. I've seen situations like that. And then you have to understand what that does to people. You know, you can't undermine people's sacrifice. Because when you do that, what ends up happening now is that you're at the mercy of them saying, well, what's the punishment for me not showing up to work? Because I'm showing up to work and not getting paid. So if I don't show up to work, I'm still not getting paid. What's the difference? 0 times 100,000 is still 0. Right? So that is why I made. Because let's be honest, this came about during the pandemic. So I had a different area of focus at the time. But right now, in the purpose and in the spirit of rebranding and rebuilding, yeah, I am using this as a platform to empower my teachers. That's what this is going to be used to do. To protect you from being exploited. Yeah? Consider this the self-defense for teachers, the martial arts for teachers. Yeah? So that way, you don't have to put up with the disrespect. You know? Wait, give me a second while I turn off my alarms. Give me a second there. Okay, let me apologize for that. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and also you want to be able to make your content in a way where you still can protect yourself. So for example, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. He had this page that he's been working on from at least 11 years back, or even before that, because I remember when this page was just made. And apparently, for whatever reason, the community standard guidelines, as you know, almost every year or every 2 to 3 years, they change. When they change, what ends up happening is that, you know, your content, depending on whatever is stated in there, is now a violation to what. So in other words, it was okay before. Now, because of the new guidelines, it is now violating the guidelines. And then instead of them saying to you, hey, we're putting a strike on your page because XYZ, they go to the extreme and they remove the page entirely. And I'm not talking about somebody that had like just maybe a handful of followers. It's like you're talking close to 1 million followers, such and such, you know? And you have to be prepared for those possibilities as well. Right? So that's why you create your, whether your OneDrive subscription or your Google Drive subscription, and also have a massive terabyte physical hard drive as well, and keep copies of your videos on each of them. So whether it be OneDrive, Google Drive, and your hard drive. So if something happens to your hard drive and you get a new computer, you can just sign into your account, download all the files that you've kept over the years, and you can, if at your own choosing, if you decide to create or start over by building another page, you can use the content that you didn't lose. Because the last thing you want to do is not have a backup for all of that. Just imagine losing rows and columns, matrices worth of videos that you have done over the years. You don't want that happening to you. I mean, sure, it happened to me at one point when I was doing a different series of content creation ideas. And I'm glad it happened to me. At the time, I wasn't, but I'm glad it happened because it taught me, hey, don't treat that as a safety net. Yeah, it's nice to have this stuff on YouTube, but be smart and have it stored somewhere else. But just in case they decide, hey, you know what? You're violating community standards. So even that is something that we still learn. Yeah, we still learn about that because you have to be very careful on the social media land space, right? You have to be careful. And honestly, it's not necessarily anybody's fault. You know, the guidelines can literally change overnight, and all of a sudden, videos that were okay and acceptable just suddenly aren't acceptable anymore. And then they just remove your page without warning you at all. You know, so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. A lot. But the idea is that you want to have something that these people can't take from you. And what I mean by that is your fellow, or rather your employers, your administrators. They have so much going on at the school that they don't have time to micromanage you, you know, off campus. So this is your safety net, right? You build your brand outside of the school where you work. And because of the reputation and the good karma and the goodwill that you have with a lot of parents, a lot of people will, you know, yeah, you'll be surprised at how many people say, no, I remember this guy. He's very patient. My kid likes working with him, right? When he's not at school, he has a miserable time because doesn't like any of the other teachers, you know. So sometimes because a lot of people, what they don't seem to understand is that, you see this? People think that the only currency in life is physical paper, physical money. That's not the only currency in life, right? If this is the only currency you know, then guess what? If this is the only money that you're familiar with, you'll never have much of it to begin with. So if physical money is all you know, if the only value you place is on just physical monetary value, then you will never have much money to begin. Yeah? You have to know that the work that you've done is a form of currency. Because when you have parents that appreciate you, it goes a long way. It goes a long way because try and remember, these parents, they got jobs. They have their own businesses or whatever. So let's say, you know, one of the parents is like a hairstylist or, you know, a nail tech or, you know, you know, is in the healthcare profession or whatever it is, they'll say, listen, this guy is the guy, or this woman, she gets results out of my kid that no one else like. He doesn't like to write. And when she works with him, he better get to writing, you know. So yeah, we have to learn that there's more to the currency than just money, right? So learn how to monetize your pages. Come over here for that. Learn how to monetize your pages. Sorry. Learn how to monetize your pages. Cool. Learn how to manage your pages. Right? Because there are two ways. There's organic and there's paid. There's organic marketing and paid marketing. And organic is rather simple. Develop a schedule, stick to your schedule, and do not stray from it. And that has to go every week, times every month, times 12. And you do it for the whole year. And you stick to that plan. And once you can stick to it, you'll be fine. Because you are rewarded for your consistency. You're rewarded for not giving up. Because guess what? If you pay attention to your feelings, like today, I mean, I woke up late, to be honest with you. Normally, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, but today's my birthday, so, I give myself grace. I went to bed late, so I think I went to bed at like 12. I normally go to bed like 10 o'clock, the latest these days. And then I would wake up around 4:30. So because I went to bed around 12, it pushed, yeah. So, sometimes you have to give yourself grace. And remember, opportunities. Make use of the opportunity you get and still create your opportunity. I'll give you an example. I have two LinkedIn profiles. One where I am a job seeker and one where I'm a job creator. You see how that works? So this is an example of me being a job creator. So maybe I'll post like this. If I were to chop up this video, I would place it on the Bossman Teaching LinkedIn profile. Speaking of that, I need to find that link, copy it, and drop it in my different social media. So, maybe that's a note to self. But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But I'm willing to work with you if you're willing to work with me. I'm trying to build a team, a reliable team too. That's the important thing. It's not even just about building a team, it's a reliable team. Yeah. So I've rambled enough, So again, happy birthday to me. And yeah, I like expressing my ideas, but also showing people how it can be done. Yeah, I show better than I can tell. Right? Yeah, teachers are tired of being exploited. You can't be working for, let's say, a month, maybe let's call it 5 weeks. Let's say you've been working for 5 weeks on a day and you still haven't been paid, and people are expecting you to still show up to work on time and be in a jovial mood, and it's like, hold on, I've not been eating properly for a number of days because I've not been paid so that I can actually take myself out to lunch. So I can barely do the bare minimum, and you're expecting me to give my best. And this is the plight of several teachers, it's not one. So the job that I have as the CCO and CEO of We Still Learn is to show that when it comes to monetizing as a teacher, we still learn. When it comes to protecting ourselves from exploitation as teachers, we still learn. When it comes to building our brand, right, and setting something for ourselves so that we have our own retirement plan. As teachers, again, we're still learning. So again, I say it every time. The attitude has to be die when you die, because discipline is everything.